I guess the first question I think we would have for you is, with the back injury, did you feel like you could have played through that injury?
We decided, as we discovered exactly what it was, talking through the doctors, did my due diligence, got other opinions, that it wasn't the best idea to play, just with the risks involved. So, I felt I wanted to be out there, no doubt, but the risks involved and the way it was ultimately hindering me was not worth it.
So what then was the process of you not going on IR and trying to work your way back? What was that process about?
It was an ongoing process of basically based on symptoms, how I felt, and just constantly evaluating the risks involved. I wanted to keep myself available. Just you never knew what could happen, but it ultimately came down to how I felt, how my body felt, how I was reacting and recovering, and yeah.
How long did you play with the injury?
Were you holding out hope that you could? I'm sorry. Were you holding out hope that you could return, like if you guys kept winning and going deeper in the playoffs?
I had no idea. I had no idea. My focus this whole time has been to basically just let it calm down and heal up. It's never fun, dealing with an injury, and my focus was letting that heal up and seeing where the chips fell.
How long did you play with the injury?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly when the injury happened. Obviously you guys saw the reports early in the year. The back was limited in practice because of the back at times, and so, but it was something that developed over time, and so it's really hard to pinpoint exactly when the actual injury happened. But when we discovered it, obviously that was the week after the Cowboys.
How frustrating for 2 years in a row to not be able to be with this team in the playoffs?
Yeah, super frustrating. You want to play postseason football. I still have 0 games of postseason football under my belt, and I realize I have a lot to prove in that regard, but I'm confident that I will get the chance to do that. And without a doubt, the human side of it, though, is frustrating. You want to be out there with your guys. You want to help the team win, and to be on the sideline for 2 straight years, it's tough.
How fair or unfair is the injury-prone label, being that you had something 4 years in a row, varying severity? How fair or unfair is that label?
Yeah, I realize, that's other people's, opinions on things. I, first and foremost, am looking forward to hopefully putting that to rest, over the next couple of years. But at the end of the day, you play this game. You can't control injuries. The things happen, and so I'm going to do everything I can to avoid those. And but yeah, my hope and goal is to put those doubts to rest.
So what's your understanding right now of what a timetable is for you to get back to 100%?
We're going to play the same game as last year. Don't really know a timetable. Kind of like we were during the season the last couple of weeks, just trying to see where I was at and how I felt. But I know I'll be fine. I know once I get healed and I do this the right way, long term this should be fine and not come back. So. That's the positive.
Is it just rest, or is
the
it
back kind of impacting your either play or your preparation?
That's a good question. It had its moments where it was frustrating and it would hurt, but definitely not going to use that to make any excuses for missed throws or poor play at times. That I don't think come game day, I don't think it was a factor, and so. But at the end of the day, you got to realize everyone's playing through something during the season. Little nicks and bruises and injuries here or there, so but definitely wouldn't use that as an excuse to some of the play.
Does it have a correlation to your to the previous back injury that you had in college?
So I'm not fully sure where that report exactly came from. Back injury in college wasn't the case. I never had a fracture in college, so I'm not fully sure where that exactly stems from.
Was it ever brought up to be placed on injured reserve?
Not really, just because we knew, in talking to the doctors, not sure how this would play out, both A, with the season, and then B, just basically based on how I felt and how it was healing. It was just a constant evaluation with that.
Do you think the knee in any way changed mechanics and maybe led to the back?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, you definitely look at all the factors. You want to pinpoint exactly what it was, and it's hard to play that game in hindsight, but I'm not going to rule it out or say that it was the cause either.
Carson, you haven't had an off season since after your rookie year. How valuable will these next several months be for you?
They'll be big. They'll be big, just like I said, just to basically get my body healed up again, both the back and just continue to get the knee stronger and back to where it was. And so these next few months, I'm really looking forward to just really focus on getting my body right.
Two-part question here, Carson.
I know it's frustrating to not have those physical reps here in the playoffs, but what can you take just from watching these 2 runs?
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot both from watching Nick play and the type of player he was, and just seeing the guys just play as well, and just seeing the postseason success last year and now this year, and you take a lot of that and kind of store it away and use it as kind of motivation a little bit and those types of things. But yeah, you definitely learn from a different perspective.
How will you look back at this year?
Carson, about your competitiveness. Last year, for instance, you stayed in even though you tore your ACL. I know you said the team and you made the decision, but I mean, personally, did you feel like you could have kept playing since you were playing with it already?
Yes and no. At the end of the day, I felt I needed to do what's best for my body long term, both from football-wise and off the field. And there was risk involved that just didn't make sense to risk in playing. So maybe physically, I might have felt like I could go out there, but the risks involved weren't worth it.
Over the last few weeks, did the team make an effort to make sure that you still know that they're committed to you?
I'm not going to get involved in that, so to speak, but I think this team as a whole is invested in everybody. I think you just see how well everyone rallies around. We have that culture of next man up, and I go down and Nick steps up, and early in the year Nick started the first 2 games, and I think that just shows the culture we have of guys just believe in everybody, whoever's out there, and I think that really showed through in the last couple weeks, and Nick going out there and playing the way he did.
The level of success Nick had, with the level of
Did you wonder about that at all? About their commitment to you?
I try not to think about all those things. A lot of I know there's lots of he said she said things out there. Can't say that one. But at the end of the day, I can't control those. I can't control some of those things, and what I can control is just getting my body right, getting healthy, and getting myself back on the field to prove the player I can be.
With the level of success Nick had, does it put more pressure on you?
It could. Without a doubt. You look at that and you could say it could put more pressure. You could say coming into the season there was more pressure, but I do everything I can to block that stuff out. I think right now, going forward, my focus is getting my body right and to play this game freely the way I did, back last year before the injury, and just cut it loose and get rid of all that pressure and anxiety or whatever it may be, and just play the game freely, and that's where I'm going to get to.
Do you feel like you didn't play freely this year?
I wouldn't say that. No, I thought I did play freely, and there's definitely some things. Anytime you're dealing with injuries or coming back from injuries and those types of things, it adds another element. But by no means would I use those as an excuse either.
Do you ever feel like you got
for a
back to that
contract
part?
extension? You're eligible for a contract extension. Are you interested in pursuing one this offseason?
I'm not going to go there. Not right now. Especially after the season ending yesterday the way it did. I'm not going to discuss those right now.
Did you feel at any point this year that you returned to that MVP form that you had a year ago?
I felt like there's times I was constantly just trying to get back to feeling 100% like myself and everything, and it's tough, wearing a knee brace and all those things, trying to get used to that, and I think that's something this offseason I'll continue to focus both on getting this back right, and then just keeping the knee and everything, and getting that full mobility back in the way I was before.
Was this more difficult than last year, because last year you couldn't play on an ACL? This one you potentially could have.
It's a fair question. They're both difficult. You never want to be on the sideline watching your teammates play when you feel you can help. And in that sense, they're both difficult. I learned a lot through them, both of them. And sometimes I sit and wonder why it happened again. But, I know God's doing something in my life and really all of our lives. And I'm trying not to worry about all the other things and just focus on what I can control.
It sounded based on what you said.
You worked very hard to get back, trying really hard for week 1, and you came back week 3. But do you think, based on what happened, do you think you came back maybe too soon?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I know going back, I felt ready before week 3 even, but that's just the way it played out, and, talking to the doctors and everything. So I don't think coming back fast is really what led to the back. No.
Carson,
it sounds based on what you said.
For you to play in your situation or not play in your situation, to have guys in that quarterback room that it seems are so together.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. You know, having Nick, Nate, and myself, the way we just really handled this situation all off season. You know, last year off season, this season, it's a game changer. You know, you could have a room full of egos, and that would be ugly. You know, that could be ugly. We'd be having probably a different conversation right now, even with you guys. But the way that we all just want to support each other, rally around each other, and take the egos out of it and put the team first, I think it makes for a much healthier environment and you know, ultimately a better and more effective team for sure.
It sounds, based on what you said and what Doug said, that the injury evolved over time. Have you explored why you were out there and the injury was getting worse, so to speak?
I mean, yes, it did evolve over time, but you know, some of these things are hard to diagnose on scans and stuff. And talking to other doctors, there's things that are hard to pick up on, and so just kind of based it off of symptoms, and you know, they were kind of up and down. So I wasn't really concerned with why I was out there, any of those things. You know, to some extent, I'm just thankful we did find it when we did.
Seems like a long shot that they'd ever be able to figure out a way to bring Nick Foles back next year. But if they were able to work something out, your confidence level that you'd be the starter week 1?
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident, that the team's going to do what's best for the team, and I'm going to support that. You know, I know a couple things. I love Nick. I love we're like brothers in there, me, Nick, and Nate, and the support we have for each other. And whatever happens is meant to happen, and you know, I think we're all going to be successful in our own right. So, yeah, to answer your question,
Were the discussions with the team when you guys were talking about whether you should keep playing or not, was the low possibility of the playoffs ever factored into the equation?
What do you mean?
At the time of the injury, well, you guys were 6 and 7, and seemingly on the outside looking in, did that factor into the decision? Just saying that
to shut it down at the time we did. I don't think so. No, it didn't. Just because of the risks. You know, it ultimately came down to the risk. I was, you know, that's a fair question and a fair kind of perception on it, but that wasn't the case. You know, it just ultimately came down to the risks, and you know, they were just not worth it.
You mentioned you couldn't pinpoint it, but at any point did it hold you back?
It's a physical sport, and you know, you go out there and you play, and you play freely, as you said, but based on the fact that this is the 4th year in a row of some sort of injury, what kind of adjustments are you going to make going forward to try to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, it's frustrating. Injuries happen, they're frustrating. You can't control all of them. You know, there's some things you can learn to how to protect yourself and those types of things, and I'm going to do everything I can to take those preventative measures and get my body right and really just explore all options to stay healthy. But at the end of the day, you can't control them, and you know, God willing, I'm looking forward to hopefully a long career where I can kind of silence some of those doubts.
Could you feel on the field if the injury was holding you back? Could you feel on the field if the injury was holding you back?
No.
Carson, from a recovery standpoint, how much progress do you feel like you've made heading into, you know, these last 5 weeks?
Yeah, the last, whatever it's been, 5 weeks or whatever. You know, recovery has been taking place. You know, it's I wish I was 100% already, but you know, it's a process in healing these things, and anytime it's bone, you know, there's not a lot you can do to heal them any quicker. So, you know, it's kind of the same game as last year to some extent, different injury and different recovery. Thankfully, there's no surgery or anything like that. And from everyone I've talked to, you know, once we get this under wraps, it shouldn't ever come back. So I'm thankful for that.
There was a report about tension between you and the medical staff. Is there, given the knee and the back, are you happy with the way that you've been handled?
I'm confident in the medical staff. You know, I don't know necessarily where that report exactly came from, but you know, I'm confident in those guys. The conversations have been great. You know, we've done our due diligence within our staff, and then just exploring, you know, getting opinions from everybody so everyone's on the same page, and the open lines of communication have been great in there.
Carson, you touched on this already, but last offseason it was spent so much focusing on the rehab of your knee. Now it feels like, yes, you're still rehabbing for the back, but it feels like there can be more time spent on focusing on the game and getting back with the guys. How big can that be?
Yeah, it'll be huge. You know, I think more than anything, you know, assuming, you know, rehab and everything goes well, hopefully come April and everything, once we get rolling again, I can be back out there, whereas that necessarily wasn't the case last year. So I think just going through a whole off-season program with everybody and being out there, I think that'll be really big for us.
Nick said you were being helpful on the sidelines. What sort of things were you doing to try to help the team, even though you're out?
Yeah, same stuff that he would do for me when I was playing. You know, I mean, we're just there to support each other and We realize this is a tough position, and there's a lot of responsibility on our shoulders. So I just want to do everything I can to help him see or ask him what he was seeing, and help him just see the game and talk to him. So definitely nothing out of the ordinary, and just trying to help in any way I could.
And so this is our first time speaking with you, obviously. How would you describe the past 5 weeks in your life here?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster again. There's frustration of not being out there, and the real human emotions of not playing, and everything involved with that. But at the end of the day, I know God's been working on my heart, and just helping me see this game as what it is, a game, and it doesn't define me at the end of the day. And so it's been a roller coaster to some extent, but like I said, I've been thankful that we did find it when we did, and that I can get healthy and hopefully never see this again.